Hi, everyone. I'm Deb Flashenberg. Welcome to Yoga, Birth, Babies, a podcast produced by Prenatal Yoga Center. We will be diving into everything prenatal yoga, birth, and baby related, hoping to inspire, educate, and empower you through your journey into motherhood. Thank you for listening. Hi, I'm Deb Flashenberg. I'm your host of Yoga Birth Babies, and today we're going to talk about sitting the month, 40 days postpartum confinement care. And I have Dr. Lily Gillespie. She is a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine and is a licensed and board certified acupuncturist and clinical herbalist. Wow, she has such amazing information about the postpartum period and really this traditional Chinese medicine practitioner view about the first 40 days of postpartum and baby's life. She just has such reverence for that postpartum time and for caring for the new parent that her honesty and her admiration for this time it floored me. At times, I literally was getting a bit teared up hearing her ideas about finding that support. And there's a quote that she said, I might butcher it a little bit, but she was talking about musicians make music and artists make art and pregnant people make life. They make a human. And her honoring of the body after that with the healing process is just so beautiful. So I think you're going to get quite a bit out of this conversation. Before we get to that, I just want to remind everyone that I have a really quick and easy downloadable of 5 simple solutions for the most common pregnancy pains. So if your back's uncomfortable, if your neck and shoulders are aching, I've got some poses that you can do pretty quickly to alleviate some of those common pregnancy aches and pains. Also, we still have our live prenatal yoga classes 7 days a week. Now, we are starting to open the studio again, but we are committed to keeping our online community flourishing. It is what kept us thriving for the last year, and we are 100% committed to keeping our community going. There's no reason, just because we're opening the doors, that we should shut other doors. So we are really looking forward to continuing to see how we can rebuild together as a community. And thank you for those that have continued to show up and support us. Speaking of support, if you haven't yet, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this from. It helps people find the podcast. All right. And then the last thing before we get to my wonderful conversation with Lily is our online teacher training. We know that we're definitely continuing the online version for our 2021 early and late fall sessions. And we already have applications. So if you are interested in studying with us from the comfort of your own home, check out our website, prenatalyogacenter.com. Check out the teacher training page. We do limit enrollment because we want to see people practice and teach the yoga. And so we don't want to overcrowd the training. We have a pretty hard cutoff of how many we allow in. And we often have a wait list because we want to hold the integrity of making sure everyone has individual attention as well as their individual voice heard in our conversation. Okay, on that note, we're going to take a super quick break, and when we come back, please enjoy my conversation with Dr. Lily Gillespie.
Swimsuit? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Phone charger? Check. Don't forget to pack the 5-Hour Energy. It fits great in a pocket or carry-on, and the alert feeling will help you arrive ready for anything. Now get 20% off when you use code 5HETRAVEL at 5hourenergy.com. Expires April 30th. One-time use only. Not valid with other discounts. Remember, visit 5hourenergy.com and use code 5HETRAVEL to save 20%.
Hi, Lily. How are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
I am really excited to speak with you. So Lena told me so much about you and what you do. And she was telling me she did a podcast. I'm sure you heard about it. She did a podcast episode with us. And when she was telling me about the 40-day postpartum confinement, I thought that was fascinating and something I wanted to learn more about. So I'm just so appreciative that you're giving me some of your time. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I guess let's get started with, I'd love to learn a little bit about you and how you got into postpartum care.
Sure. I came to United States when I was 15 from Taiwan. And when I first came to this country, I didn't really speak English. Luckily, I was great with movement. So I was a cheerleader and I became a dance educator and I moved to New York to dance. And I taught in the dance studio and performed in various different dance companies. Later on, years after that, I began my study with the Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. So I became a licensed acupuncturist and licensed herbalist. I delivered my first baby when I was in school. My mother insists for my aunt to come in from Taiwan to help me with postpartum care. And I told her, no, I don't need help. I could do it. It's just a baby. Don't worry. So little did I know that I needed the help desperately.
Yeah, we all need help after that baby comes.
Right. So I was in school, then I became an herbalist. I study a lot about herb, about nourishing the body, and also fundamentally, we can take care of our body inside out. Not just from the outside, but allow you to be strong, allow you to have a wonderful transition into menopause and things like that. So I became very, very interested in postpartum care.
Oh, that's fascinating. All right. So tell me about or explain what sitting the month means.
Sure. So traditionally, sitting the month means 坐月子. It means take care of your body a month after you deliver a baby. Historically, only the royal family, only the princesses and the empresses that they had this kind of opportunity because the imperial doctor will visit their home and take care of the woman after they have babies. Back then, of course, only the royal family had this kind of opportunity to have this kind of practice. But later on, more and more people were able to do this.
That's great. I have the question. We'll talk more about it later. But when I was researching, I was really impressed to see how many different cultures have something similar. It's kind of upsetting that the U.S. Actually, no, let's jump into that. So, as I mentioned, what are your thoughts that this is not something that has been embraced in mainstream America, but many other cultures have their own version of this?
Sure. Yes. I asked myself that questions as well. I realized that many different cultures, they have their way of taking care of postpartum women. For example, in the Korean culture, they celebrate 100-day baby's birthday. When they have a birthday party, they have a banner and says 100-day birthday for the baby. And in Taiwan, they will celebrate 30-day-old birthday for the baby. And again, I think back then, historically, a lot of babies don't survive. They don't really make it. So they will wait till a month later to register the baby's birthday in the city hall.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was also looking, that it didn't even occur to me that could be a celebration that, we got the baby 30 days, we got the baby 100 days. Wow. I hadn't even put that in my mind.
Right. So different culture, they have a different way to celebrate and embrace this healing, special time for the healing. So in America, I think there are a couple of things. One, that American women are very independent, very strong. When you ask different part of the world what they think of American woman, they have this image of Wonder Woman pop in their head. So a lot of the time, we don't think we need help. And asking for help, people mistaken as a sign of a weakness, or you are incapable of doing something by yourself. I made a mistake too, because I really told my mother, like, I didn't need help. I can do this by myself. Don't worry about it. I think that could be one aspect, that we didn't know that we need help. And another thing could be that in America, we treat postpartum injury as an external injury, as a sports medicine injury. If you deliver in a Western hospital, they will have an ice pack ready for you.
Yeah.
If you have a vaginal delivery, they will put the ice pack on your vagina to keep the womb cold, so you don't feel the pain.
Right.
Many doctors even use the analogy of running a marathon. They will tell you that your muscles is fatigued. They will tell you to soak yourself in an Epsom salt bath.
Right.
But if you really think about it, if you have a car accident and you have stitches on your arm, you will never soak your arm in the Epsom salt.
Yeah.
Because the stitches might get dissolved and you might have to go get stitches again. And if you have a vaginal delivery, the cervix has to open to 10 centimeter in order for the baby's head to come out. But if you are on your period, if your cervix is open, you should not soak yourself in the Epsom salt. So,
what about a sitz bath? I had my midwife after, it wasn't Epsom salt, it was special herbs that we put in warm water, and I just kind of sat in up to basically just my hips, which is different than Epsom salt. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Traditionally, the female body should avoid wetness, dampness, and coldness. So sit bath is a shallow water, and it's warm. Most of the time you cook with herbs. So those are wonderful. But ideally, in the best way, you will actually use a steam.
I didn't know
so
that.
The herb, so there are vaginal steam now. So you can cook the herb and the steam come up, and it will allow you to sit, and you have a cover so to keep the steam inside.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're bringing up the ice and the heat, because the little I know, and I'm so excited to speak with you about traditional Chinese medicine. I worked with, for many years, my acupuncturist who also does traditional Chinese medicine. Oh my gosh, she gave me, when I was getting pregnant, she gave me these herbs. I swear it was like dirt. It was like someone could have literally gone into Central Park, put some dirt in a bag and be like, here you go. And it probably would have tasted the same. I found it very challenging, but she was all about, warmth, like warmth around the solar plexus, always staying warm. So as you're talking about the idea of ice, and as I had been a doula for many years, and I would be like, yeah, they're going to give you ice. And now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh, but I think the ice is really, isn't it for the swelling? Because there can be some swelling.
Right. So we can definitely talk about, for example, there are 4 things in the natural healing process. And when you first get injury, there's a heat, swelling, pain, and redness. So those are the natural 4 things a body or a tissue will go through. So when the baby come out causing the trauma in the external surface, and we use the ice to reduce the swelling. They do that in sports medicine. For example, if a football player is getting hit in the arm, we want to reduce the swelling right away. We put an ice pack. That should be applied in the immediate stage only. But birthing is different, because this is not just external injury, it's an internal.
Right. Oh, that makes total sense. That we're not just looking at the perineum. We're talking really that whole birth canal, which is so much deeper. You're not shoving ice up your vagina. Hopefully. We're not shoving up ice their vagina. So tell me a little bit about the 40 days postpartum care. What does that entail?
If you do a traditional way, the birthing mother should stay away from wetness, dampness, and coldness. So, for example, she will use the herbs that's cooked and processed to wipe her body down. You want to imagine that after average 14 hours of delivery, your pores are open. Everything is open. Okay. We want the heat to go back to the body, so you will avoid touching raw water. Raw water means the water that you turn on from the faucet, and you don't touch cold water. So you don't touch cold laundry, you don't touch cold dishes. Ideally, someone will be able to help you and assist you for that. And you definitely want to nourish your body as much as possible if you want to nurse the baby. If you're nursing the baby 2 to 3 hours in average, you should replenish yourself every 3 hours as well.
With warm water or tea or...
Tons of soup, okay. Ideally. Yeah. So that go in a little bit detail about the breast milk. We can change the viscosity of the milk. So if, for example, we don't want the baby to consume watery milk. We want the baby to have a meal instead of a liquid. Mm-hmm. So if the milk is nice and thick, it will be very sufficient for the baby to be full, and you can extend your nursing time to every 3 to 4 hours instead of every 2 to 3 hours.
Oh, that sounds appealing. Because I remember early on, I felt like, okay, I finished, and then I'd be like, wait a minute, I'm starting again. Like it just felt it was constant.
Right. Oh, never stop.
I'd never heard that. All right, so I'm kind of stuck on this no cold water. Like, is this like a hard fast or like brushing your teeth, like washing your hair? Like where is this? Where's the line?
Sure. Yeah. You certainly want to figure out what you're comfortable with. For example, there's a dry shampoo. You can use baking soda on the brush and brush the oil out. Okay. You definitely have to wash your face. You definitely have to brush your teeth. You definitely have to wash your privates, especially that's very important. If you deliver in the hospital, they will give you peri bottle. Mm-hmm. You put warm soap water in it, and every time you use the bathroom, you wash yourself. So in average, you should wash your private 4-5 times a day, and then you use a blow dryer, use a warm heat to dry yourself out. Oh. So you don't use tissue.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Right.
What else what are the new parents doing during this time? They're home, obviously, because they're probably not going out if they're, trying to stay warm and stay, replenishing themselves. What is typically done during this confinement? So you talked about the about the broths and the soups, the warmth. What are they doing at home during this? Is it just about parent bonding time?
Certainly. I think the mother is going through a lot of changes, both physically and emotionally and spiritually. When a baby come out of your body, you need to take the time to listen to your body again. You want to learn your new body again. I often tell my clients that men don't have the organ to really relate to what is happening with you. If you just finish leaking blood in your vagina, and now you're leaking breast milk from your breasts. So you need to take the time to allow your body to really adjust to this new motherhood. Mm-hmm. And the men don't have organs to really understand what you're going through. So I often will ask the men, if you're leaking blood from your orifices, what will you be your focus now? You want to focus on healing, right?
Yeah.
You would not be worried about when can I go outside to work out again.
Right. Yeah.
So I want the parent to really work this together. from not sleeping, from taking care of the baby, sometimes people will be frustrated, but you want to understand you need to embrace that change together.
Yeah.
So the parents are not extending their energy outward. They're not inviting all their friends to come to see their baby. They should be at home. Take the time to learn your baby's cry. And you being a mother, you can probably tell when the baby is just talking, sounds like crying. If the baby has a dirty diaper, or if the baby needs to be burped, all those cry will sound different. So the baby is trying to communicate with you.
Yeah, so it's a time of really getting to know one another. So I'm curious, we kind of jumped to this talk about the different cultures, and we never finished the conversation about, so your mom's like, okay, I'm going to bring your aunt from Taiwan. You're like, no, I can do it. So let's finish that loop. Did your aunt come? What was your own postpartum experience like?
Sure. So I told my mother I don't need help. I'll be fine with just a baby, no problem. But she insists on hiring my aunt. So my aunt flew in from Taiwan, brought all the herbs, all the things that she was prepared to cook for me. And luckily she came. Because for my own postpartum experience, it was very traumatic. I delivered my baby at home. At the time, I was in school, so I was very firm about having as natural as possible. I didn't want epidural. I didn't want any drug. I just want to deliver my baby at my own home. She arrived. She was a 9-pound baby. She was really big. And 3 days later, my uterus came out. So there are 4.
Okay, let's back up.
Yes.
How far prolapsed were you? Just for listeners that may not, I understand pelvic organ prolapse, but for listeners that might be like, what does she mean came out? So let's hear what kind of degree in which you had prolapse.
Sure. So there are 4 different degrees in 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 degree means your uterus completely come outside of your body. And I had 3rd degree prolapse, meaning that partial uterus came out. When I bent down, and I can see an organ sticking out, I was shocked. I was confused. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just extra tissue that needed to come out. So luckily, I did not pull my uterus outside of my body.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just take a beat here and say, okay, friends that are listening, if you're having extra tissue hanging out of your vagina, don't try to pull it out yourself because you don't know what it might be. It could be bladder prolapse, it could be rectal prolapse, it could be uterine prolapse. You find someone that can help you. That I never had that thought before, that someone might be like, oh, let's see, should this come out? Wow, thank you. Okay. Amazing. So did she help you identify what that was? And then what did you do from there?
We immediately took a picture to show it to my midwife and my doula. And they were extremely professional. They gave me medical advice, and we also contacted my OBGYN. So the Western approach was either insert a metal umbrella into my uterus to keep the uterus open. And second method was to stable my uterine wall onto the abdominal wall. But if I would be pregnant again, the uterus would prolapse again, will come out again. So I knew that was my condition. So if I was pregnant the second time, my uterus will probably prolapse again. And it did. Yeah. My aunt called her older sister, who was a postpartum specialist. She's a traditional confinement lady. So she did this for a living. She opened a confinement center in California for 15 years. So my aunt called her sister. She immediately sent me the binding material. So there were 3 sets of binding material were sent to me. They bound me. I started doing Kegel exercise, abdominal floor exercise on the bed. I was sleeping with 3 pillows underneath my pelvis with my legs up in the air. So within a week or so, the prolapse condition was much, much, much better. I no longer see my organs anymore. And about 3 weeks or so, I had a lot of bleeding throughout the time. I probably bled for almost 2 months.
Oh, wow.
But then it turned out that my period came back right away.
Wow. Okay. So I'm really interested in the binding. Can you talk about that a little more?
Sure. So we want to understand that it takes 40 weeks for our abdomen to expand, for the baby to grow. After the baby leaves the space, our organs are being pushed aside. And it takes time. We want all the organs to go back to its original place. And so for the people that are pregnant, or you probably understand that if when the baby is growing and pressing onto the bladder is at the bottom of the uterus, and sometimes when you cough and sneeze, you have an accident. And some people even experience morning sickness or burping, heartburn. Again, that's when the baby is expanding and push your stomach up. So all the internal organs are being pushed aside because we need to make space for the baby. After the delivery, we want all those organs to go back to the center or to its original place. So the binding can assist with that. We want the binding to support the internal organs and then go back. Also, we want the binding to place on our pelvis. So we want to imagine our pelvic floor is upside down triangle. We want to close the hips from the greater trochanters and also close the abdomen, allow the organs to come back up again.
Oh, I love hearing about this. And let's also specify that this sounds like a very specific place in which you're saying we're binding and probably the degree in which we're binding. I feel like, and this was recommended to me, postpartum. I had a very hard delivery with my first, and I knew something. I had some prolapse, some bladder prolapse, and I went to a PT and she's like, yeah, get a binder. And she recommended just a brand online. She said, make it as tight as possible, but it wasn't from my greater trochanters. It was more at my hips, like my hip bones. And because it was so tight. So I love that you're being specific, like greater trochanters. For those who don't know, so your thigh bone has kind of this protrusion at the top, like a little bony nubbin. And so that's low. And so when you're closing in there, it's inviting up. But if you close from the top at the hips, at the top of the iliac crest, you're pressing down. And so I feel like not just happening to me, but I feel if people are told, oh, just go online and buy a binder, if we're not closing and supporting and closing at the bottom and lifting up, we're actually squeezing in the center and pushing down.
Right.
So I like that you're being really clear of the instructions, the way it's done, and the mindset behind it. It's not a binder to try to look thinner. It's a binder to support upward. So I just want to make sure people don't then go online and be like, let's buy a belly binder. So it sounds like it was really specific with what your aunt had specified.
Right. You definitely want to be careful. Consult with the physician, consult with someone who knows this.
Yeah.
What you just say is the instruction wasn't clear enough. You were binding at the ASIS, anterior
superior iliac spine,
anterior superior iliac spine. So you were placing the binder.
More pressure down. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to hear about the idea of this mental preparation for this confinement period, because I get in my head of the idea of 40 days we've been in COVID, so for a year, it's that own kind of confinement, but let's hear the mental preparation. We'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Skylight Frame. Mother's Day is almost here. What are you getting her? Something that shows you care. Something that makes her feel loved. Something that won't stress you out. Something like the Skylight Frame. The Skylight Frame is the perfect gift. It's a touchscreen photo frame your whole family can upload photos to, from wherever they are in the world. It's a way to share with her all the moments that matter. It sets up in seconds. You can even make sure that it's already loaded with photos when your mom opens her Mother's Day gift. And her Skylight Frame can hold thousands of the treasured photos you share. It's an easy, heartfelt way for mom to stay connected with those who matter most. It really is the perfect gift. Now, as a special Mother's Day offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/easy. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/easy. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightframe.com/easy.
Looks like you need a vacation. Enter the 5-Hour Energy Where Will the Tide Take You sweepstakes. You could win a $10,000 dream beach vacation. Imagine jet setting off to a tropical paradise, having fun in the sun, or diving at a gorgeous reef. It's up to you. No purchase necessary. Go to 5HETide.com for official rules and to enter. That's 5HETide.com. Enter today. Ends June 30th, 2024.
Okay, so we're back. So can you talk a little about the mental preparation for this type of confinement practice?
Sure. When my aunt was helping me, she said it to me in Taiwanese. She said, "Sen e gui, ge ju pang, sen be gui, si de bang." It was very, very beautiful, and it hit me right in the heart. So what that phrase basically was saying that if you deliver successfully, you go to the gate of hell and circle around and come back. When you wake up your eyes, you can smell the rice wine chicken soup in the kitchen. But if you don't make it back, the back of your head will hit the board of a coffin.
Oh.
It was very powerful when she said that to me. So this mental preparation is that if you decide to deliver a baby, you get a gold star right away. You are risking your life. Well, back in the day, of course. Right now, with the modern technology, not many women die anymore. But in the past, women do risk their life to deliver a baby. So this is a time that you deserve to be treated like a princess. You deserve to be treated like an empress. Anyone, your friends, your relative, or practitioners or physicians, deserve to give you all the help you need. So this mental preparation is that you want to remember this is time for you to heal, to recover, to nourish yourself back to health. Asking for help is not a sign of a weakness or you're incapable. It's really let people know. I think reaching out is number one. Let your friends and family know, I am going to have a baby, and if you guys could help me, that would be great. Send me some soup, for example, right? Or help me take out the garbage if you can. I know with the pandemic, we don't have any visitors that come to the house. So
yeah, but that's bringing up the idea of it may not be available to everyone to have 40 days of postpartum confinement, especially because unfortunately, and I won't get too much on a soapbox about this, a lot of people don't have maternity leave. And so, I have my own thoughts on that. I won't go there too much, but a lot of people don't have maternity leave, and some people are unfortunately back in the situation where they're back to work while they're still bleeding. So if someone doesn't have the support or opportunity, there may be two certain aspects that you can encourage that promote healing. I know it's not ideal. I know we really do want to respect the healing process because it's quite the ordeal the body goes through to make a baby, to create this person. You make a separate organ, the placenta, then you birth all of it in some manner. And then there's a huge healing process and there's it's like a wound inside. So if someone doesn't have the opportunity to stay and heal and they have to be back a little bit more up and present, they're like two greatest hits that they should try to incorporate.
Right. Try to keep your physical body warm and happy. I think that's very important.
I like that.
Allow your physical body to be warm. For example, not to drink cold ice water if you can. And I understand a lot of women have to go back to work right away.
Yeah.
I treated a police officer in Brooklyn and her maternity leave was 5 days.
Oh, my heart aches for that person. Oh my goodness.
Especially,
yes. My gosh. Okay.
Especially she was a police officer and she was worried about the job that acquired her body to do, run, all physical activities that she was demanded to do. So I suggest her to do the binding. There are certain binding that's comfortable enough to support your organ and even support your spine, so she can go back to work. And certainly understand the concept of hot versus cold. So after a woman delivers a baby, her state of body is in the cold state. Cold state just means things are moving slowly. Things are your energy is low. And then opposite of that is things are moving fast. You're healing really fast. You are very happy. You are very, very high up in the spirit. So after you deliver a baby, the state of the body is cold. So you want to replenish as much as possible.
That makes a lot of sense. So,
okay.
So for expectant people here in the United States, if they don't know anything about herbal food or medicinal food, how do you suggest they start? Would you suggest they try to research on their own or try to find a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner? What are your thoughts?
I thought about that. I am here to help.
Okay.
I am more than happy to give you my information and you guys, you can contact me. Of course, if you have a herbalist that in your neighborhood or an acupuncturist that you trust or a massage therapist or postpartum doula, definitely reach out and maybe do research together as a team effort. We certainly don't want you to just start ordering medicinal food and start eating it by yourself. You need to consult with the herbalist. It's easy enough that I can prescribe decoctions from the herbal pharmacy, and we can send it to anywhere in the United States now. So
that's good. All right. So let's just repeat, don't start doing it on your own because these herbs, I think what happens is people think, oh, they're herbs. What harm can they have? But they really do have medicinal properties that we want to be mindful of what we're putting in our body and how it affects our body.
Right. It is medicine, right? So we don't want to just order any kind of medicine and start taking it without consulting anyone.
Yeah. From a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner's perspective, what would you say to newly expectant people to help get their mind around this transition?
I think welcoming a baby is definitely a very, very exciting thing. This pure soul is coming to earth for the first time. And this pure soul get to be with you for the rest of your life and become one of your family member. Take the time to cherish this moment, including all the ups and downs. If you're getting frustrated, do not blame your partner. Definitely turn the situation around and make that into a very fun moment. I have done many house calls for my clients, and I've been to a family where the partner was very frustrating and it was yelling at the birthing mother. And as I was treating her, giving her acupuncture and massage treatment, I realized she was very nervous. She couldn't relax. Okay. So I asked her, how often do you feel like crying? And she told me every single day. Oh. For the past month and a half. So she didn't realize that she was suffering from minor postpartum depression. If you really think of it, you really shouldn't cry every single day for a month and a half. Mm-hmm. So I brought it up to her gently, and later on, she texted me and told me that she started reaching out to talk to her close friends and her mother, and she's seeking help, which was very important that for the new expecting parents, mm-hmm. you don't be afraid. It's a beautiful thing. And definitely understand the house might be a little bit messy, but it's okay. And the baby will be crying. You won't know what to do, and it's okay. You will figure it out together. And then turn those moment into a funny moment and make each other laugh, and just remember this pure soul get to be here in your life, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
I like that idea of, and I need to remind myself of that when I get kind of stuck and irritated, can I take a beat and turn it around and try to make it something to laugh about? I like that. So now that we understand a little bit more about the traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, what you offer, the 40-day confinement, some people might be thinking, okay, I want to do this. So how would someone find a practitioner that can support them for 40 days? Because there's only so many people that you can, I think you stayed with Lena, correct?
Right.
So how you can't take too many people at a time. So how does someone find someone to offer this support?
Two of my aunts are professional confinement ladies. Okay. And they have a small team of women that they work with. They will go to clients' house. Mm-hmm. With the pandemic, it's definitely more tricky. They don't want to fly unless they have a fully protected outfit and shield, basically. Mm-hmm. In terms of finding TCM practitioners in your neighborhood or locally, I have a small team that I work closely. Dr. Yuan Guan Chen is a holistic midwife and OBGYN. Dr. Lisa Assumption is like me. She's a licensed herbalist and acupuncturist in New York State. My cousin Diana, she is a special postpartum care specialist. She's also doing a wonderful job. She lived in the confinement center for 6 months. Wow. Just by looking at the confinement soup, she would know which stage the woman is about to finish.
Oh, wow. So is it this kind of thing that someone that just gave birth or they're preparing to give birth can set up kind of like ongoing consultations, and then they may have a parent, like their mother, for example, or an aunt or a sister or a friend can take the role that you did, and they can just help because you've helped, or someone that is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner gave them the steps, and then they can implement it at home. Is that a possibility?
Most definitely. And even if you don't know anything about herbs or any medicine, for example, eat the soup that make your heart happy. If your family can cook you the soup that you just smile every time you eat it, that is a medicine for your heart.
See, you're probably thinking like warm brothy soup. And then in my mind, I'm like, ooh, lobster bisque. Probably a little heavy, probably like So coming from New England, I'm like, New England clam chowder. So you're probably thinking more brothy soup. And I'm going for like cream based, not the same thing, right?
No problem. I think every family, every culture, they celebrate different, cherish different flavors, cherish different dishes, and it's not a problem at all. If you do the binding, and if you are nourishing yourself,
it doesn't matter what kind of soup.
Heavy soup does not matter. Your brain will be so smart and figuring out all the fattening soup that I'm consuming is turning into breast milk for the baby. And the milk will be such a meal for the baby. You will not gain any weight at all.
Yeah, those are my New England roots. I'm like, let's have some bisque. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, if you can offer one more final tip or piece of advice you'd like to offer new or expectant parents, we'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Skylight Calendar. Let's be real. Running a household can be exhausting and chaotic. And finding the perfect Mother's Day gift, it's not exactly a no-brainer. Until now. The Skylight Calendar is the best way to organize the family and give everyone, especially mom, some peace of mind to enjoy the things that matter most. The Skylight Calendar is a smart, touchscreen calendar that keeps track of and manages the chores, dinner planning, groceries, and to-dos for the whole family. The Skylight Calendar automatically syncs each family member's digital calendars and displays them all together on one color-coded touchscreen. It even doubles as a digital picture frame, so you can finally share all those special moments that are just sitting on your phone. As a limited-time offer for our listeners, get 15% off your purchase of a Skylight Calendar when you go to skylightcal.com/easy. That's SKYLIGHTCAL.com/easy. Get 15% off your Mother's Day purchase now at skylightcal.com/easy.
Okay, we are back. So I actually should have asked first, is there anything else about this sitting the month that I didn't ask that you wanted to share before we ask your final tip or piece of advice?
Sure. I think there are many different ways of doing sitting the month or confinement practice. Most importantly, remember to rest and nourish yourself. I want to use an analogy in Chinese medicine. So we know the 4 seasons. We know there's a summer, there's a spring, there's a fall, there's a winter. Mm-hmm. So after you deliver a baby, the state of the body is in the winter season. In the winter season, from the outside, it looks quiet. The leaves are dead, mm-hmm. and there's not a lot of movement. But underneath the ground, underneath the soil, all that energy is being pulled down to the root to get ready for the spring, mm-hmm. to nourish the soil so the spring comes, the trees can grow, the flowers will grow. So in this analogy that you should not expand your energy outward. The nourishment, the quietness need to come inside of your body to nourish your uterus so you can be pregnant again if you want to. And then your mind shouldn't be outward shouting to the world about your new baby, about fabulous things that you're doing. All that energy should come to the inside of your body and really connect with your body again. What just happened to you? You just made a human. Mm-hmm. Artists make artwork. Musicians make music. You make a human. You want to take that time to connect with your baby, to connect with your partner. And if you're a single mother, don't feel alone because you're not the first one that just delivered the baby. You will never be the last one. There are many women are in the situation who can share a piece of advice or even simply just ask you how you're doing. Do you need help? So certainly take this special time to nourish yourself and then regain your health. And we're talking about inside, not just the outside appearance. We're talking
really
about
the reverence and honor in which you're explaining the process of birth is really beautiful. I like that introspective looking at what the body did. I love the artists create art, musicians create music, and pregnant people and birthing people create humans. There's something really, I don't know, I find that very profound. Like, it really moved me. So, thank you for sharing that. That really, there's something really deep that worked for me. So thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. I'm crying now.
Oh, is there, so let's just go with, where can people find your work? 'Cause you really have a really beautiful view of this process. And again, just such respect for the process of giving birth and the healing that I'm sure many people are listening and they're thinking, okay, I need to work with Lily. So I would, if I ever had another child, which I certainly am not, I would really want that kind of support. So where can people find your work?
Thank you. I will leave you my contact information at the end. I am thinking something about, bigger and in the future. I want to offer classes. I want to teach people how to make easy herbal soup at home. I want to be able to to allow anyone from all over the world to answer me questions. Doesn't matter what culture you're from or what nationality you are. When a birthing mother delivers a human, we're all going through the same thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You are just a bright star. And it has been such a pleasure to have a chance to speak with you, and for, I think, just a different perspective. And while many people respect the new parent, I don't know, there's something, just the respect that you have is just, it's beautiful. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
This has been an episode of Yoga Birth Babies, produced by Prenatal Yoga Center. You can catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. I'm Deb Flaschenberg. Thanks for listening.
Swimsuit? Check. Sunscreen? Check. Phone charger? Check. Don't forget to pack the 5-Hour Energy. It fits great in a pocket or carry-on, and the alert feeling will help you arrive ready for anything. Now get 20% off when you use code 5HETRAVEL at 5hourenergy.com. Expires April 30th. One-time use only. Not valid with other discounts. Remember, visit 5hourenergy.com and use code 5HETRAVEL to save 20%.